Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for the main event of the evening. It's time! Fighting out of the blue corner, a professional mixed martial artist holding a professional record of 29 wins, 4 losses, 1 no contest. Hailing from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, reigning, defending. How's it going? How's it going? Burned through some watches. It's kind of we got a bunch of sector themes, bunch of large caps moving. Um, so I think there's a quite a bit to kind of pick through from what I saw on scans this evening. So I'll try to do my best here to make sense of it and be prepared going into tomorrow, Friday tomorrow. Bunch of stuff, options expiry into the end of the week, and then you've got a long weekend, so it could be people taking hedges off, people not wanting to hold over the weekend, that sort of thing. So some stuff in the background besides just some technical patterns, but in after hours we had some uranium news. Oklo up huge, NNE up huge, SMR up huge. I don't even, how are some of like these U's? Yeah, this thing's up big. CCJ. So there's just a bunch. I can't remember what the specific news was, but I just saw the list of names. Excuse me. And then you've also got the quantum basket since QBTS has got going. And now you've got a bunch of sympathies going with it. You got Qubit daily getting some attention. I like this one for that little 13 break. Rigetti started to break out there today. And QBTS obviously broke out many days ago. QMCO is starting to come in here through this little 14.5 level. Could be a little breakout. This one's super beaten down and was very, very thin over here. But also I think the risk reward would be worthwhile if you get like a 14s, next resistance up here in the 20s. Qubit looking for that 13 break, and then we've got this gap back up to like 16s. So I think that little range break here over 13s is worth a watch. So definitely keeping an eye on the quantum names. The YouTube alerts are back to working. Beautiful. Beautiful. I didn't even change any of those settings. I went and looked at them and they were all on to send out alerts when I go live. So maybe YouTube was just like, oh, we won't do anything. And then once they realized I was looking into it, then they started doing something. What else? Pony, this daily here, I had a quick trade on it this morning into the parabolic. Oh, excuse me. Just straight up green bars with some parabolic volume. Coming up into looking left levels here in the mid to high 19s. So reacted into that. We got a flush, and this was the last line of defense before we really opened up. So I was hitting pops a little bit, and it wasn't staying heavy. So I had to move on with that trade. Turned a winner into a loser. But the more it holds up, now that it's over that 20 level, it looks like it wants to continue higher. This daily looks pretty bullish. It topped out right at that 2130s. Right here into close. Excuse me. So any dips towards prior day's highs likely of interest, and then use this high 18s as a guide for risk. So lower the better, and then closer it gets towards this 18, the better the risk reward. But I've been waiting for this thing to break down and roll over those 1640s, and it just hasn't come. And any other shorts who are in the same boat are likely trapped and on the wrong side. So no sense in waiting for the fail. If it's not going to come, might as well join it to the upside. ASST, this is the kind of stuff that just doesn't really make a ton of sense. Yes, it's crypto related. So it's moving in sympathy with stuff like SEP and whatnot. But chart pattern wise, you get this multi-day move, gaps up through the breakout level, completely retraces in round trips, and then gaps up mid-range right up towards prior day's highs. And this thing just never looks back. Like, this is super ugly, and then just boom. Same thing with SEP. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Gap up with Bitcoin's all-time highs, and drags the whole sector with it. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. SIDA, I remember Bass Hunter yesterday on the watch list was asking in relation to GPUS, do these things usually get to highs? And we had the exact same thing happen with SIDA. Once it held its opening range lows and started to take off, went right back up into daily highs, and did the exact same setup as GPUS. You get that parabolic into that high a day, pulls back a little bit towards VWAP, one last little double top test before fading out, and GPUS did the same thing yesterday. Parabolic right into the daily level, pulls back towards VWAP, double top, and then fizzles out. So it could be a short op. If you're playing it long for the bounce, then maybe a shortened resistance, but this pattern here has definitely played out quite a few times. Kids tried to get going. This was that same kind of daily pattern, but it just couldn't spike. Edible, what I was a bit worried about with the gap down, that wouldn't be getting any pops, and risk reward just wasn't super ideal given the range. So I ended up leaving that one be as well. Lottery. We had a hard crack, higher lows, joined the VWAP reclaim. Wasn't building like I wanted. I was sized in for low a day risk, so this is a super small scratch. Pretty insignificant. Kind of went a bit higher before going lower. Never broke risk, but was just chopping around all day. Didn't really amount for much range, but still holding up really well. So keeping it on watch for 180s plus. Novitas, this one here was a loser for me. Frustrating to say the least. Was very patient for 9:45, 10 a.m. like I wanted. We got the pull, opening range highs. Had a bit of FOMO that it was going to continue higher, but plan was to wait, and so it did. Broke low day, pulled back, double bottom, higher lows, joining trend. This is typical entry criteria for me. Risk on lows, gets stuffed off of VWAP, cut it before that hard crack, which ends up being within a few cents of the low of the day. It touched it briefly later in the day, but came all the way back from that gapper. So it seems like shorts are still stuck in there. It's holding up really well. Don't remember drawing that line, but it's connecting pretty nicely. So I will keep this on watch. That news just seems big enough. I'm typically not buying gappers, but I had a plan going into the day on this one. Didn't work in the time frame I expected, but the overall thesis worked. So see how weak opens act. Even if it puts in like an inside day, I'd even prefer that. If it could chop around between 5 and 4, and then get a re-break of that next week on Tuesday. Monday, market is closed. So if it could put in an inside day and then re-break out like T+1, that'd be really nice. MLGO putting in 2 up days. This one's been getting smoked with the dilution, hasn't been able to put in any consecutive days. So it's I don't really want to say getting going, but it's bouncing. It's got a lot of work to do, but I think it's notable. Sort of a higher the better setup. If this can put in 3-4 days of run without going red, that'd be an A grade setup to me. But yeah, higher the better. Habitual diluter. See how high they can run this thing before it fades back. Core wave wasn't an easy one. It was straight down, so it gapped up pretty early pre-market to like an exhaustion level where I would have wanted to trade it. By market open, gives back most of its range. Was straight down off the open, putting in a bunch of wicks. This isn't staying heavy. This is dips getting bought, so I'm not interested in fading this. And then it starts setting higher lows. This looks very bullish to me. All week opens have gotten bought up in the last how many weeks? So when I start seeing this is typical action of what I'd expect on a pullback on a strong daily. So I let it be. It reclaimed highs a day. And then until late day, when it started to roll over, you can see it goes red, comes back green, reclaims highs, then starts to pull back, rolls over, goes back red. Like just so much range intraday, but it's not super clean. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Wow, Kidley, that thing blew out. That's wild. Where's my buttons here? There we go. That's the daily highs. Squeezed out through it, then filled follow through. Another one, just round tripping. Seems like just I had a tough time yesterday and today and this week really. Seems like the ones I'm picking aren't working. The ones I'm avoiding are working. Having a tough time finding that broken slot machine. Driving me nuts. BSGM. This one here hit scan. This looks like a steady walk up, like a little pump chart. Should give back, like, should get smoked one day. Don't know when, don't know how high it's going to go. But something like this. Just a matter of when. They had, I can't trade OTCs on Centerpoint. I can only trade them on Interactive Brokers. And Fannie Mae was like a main watch for a bunch of small cap traders, along with that M ticker, MTPLF. MTPLF was a multi-day runner, had a first red day today, and a really nice panic that a lot of guys nailed. And then Fannie Mae had some Trump news overnight. That thing was gapping up like $10 plus. So a couple OTCs moving for any guys that can trade those. I just don't have a ton of buying power over at IB because I keep that account fully invested at all times. So there's not typically much liquid cash over there other than like a few grand. So unfortunately can't really trade them too much. But yeah, they had some nice moves over there. Can I talk about assist? Went long yesterday for VWAP bounce. Good daily multi-day breakout. Yeah, yesterday was like I don't buy stocks that are gapping through their breakout level. They typically have like a sub 50% win rate. Historically speaking, so I don't buy them when they're gapping over it. And yesterday that was a decent idea because it faded all day. All pops versus VWAP faded near lows. And then the gap today was based off of the Bitcoin hitting all-time highs last night. So anything Bitcoin related, Mara, after it got smoked, was gapping up huge. Coin was gapping today. Riot was gapping today. SEP, You got a bunch of other Bitcoin names because a bunch of these small caps, I always forget that, DFVD or something, DFDV. Um, if you recall, like a bunch of these small caps were putting out PRs saying that they were adding crypto or adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets and stuff. And that got a bunch of them going. I think Kids was one of them. So this one hasn't really run with the rest of them. But Assist was one of them that had Bitcoin in its balance sheet and was moving in sympathy with them. So that was the reason for the gap up today. But it's just not a pattern that I would personally trade. The day that it broke out, gapped over it and failed really hard. And I'm not in the business of trying to predict if Bitcoin's going to gap. I try my best not to trade Bitcoin related names, especially when they're gapping with it. Overall, I'm probably red trading Bitcoin names. Like I remember trading Mara when it was like the $1 breakout, and I lost on it at first. Like right over here. When you have like this big base, volume starts to come in, and we get this little double top here, and I'm buying this day. It closes strong right through the ones, and I get gapped down and it's absolutely destroyed. And then this time it's gapping up right into the breakout level, which then I'm typically avoiding. It's gapping up over the breakout level, and then that's the one that ends up working. Here was another little breakout here, could have bought. I don't remember if I traded that one, but I distinctly remember this day through the ones where it looked really good and I got smoked on a Bitcoin gap down. So since then, I haven't put too much focus into Bitcoin related names because I've had such a tough time trading them. So that's more of a personal rule, but gonna see if UNH wants to double bottom or undercut and rally for a long position for a few months. I have Fannie Mae from lows, sold half for the open, and add that half back on the turn and holding. Sick. That's sexy, Golan. That is sexy. I love that for you. I love it. Yeah, UNH, I don't have a ton, I don't have much planned on it. After that capitulation move, I wouldn't really touch it. Could go either way. But yeah, Fannie Mae definitely very good setup, so congrats there. In terms of watches for tomorrow, probably QMCO for possible breakout, Qubit possible breakout. I'm not sure how much it's going to lean on stuff like QBTS, if this is weak, if those are going to have a tough time breaking out, or because Qubits is so extended, people sell this one and roll money into others. I'm not too sure, especially going into a Friday. It's not typically when I'm liking to buy breakouts on large caps because when they run up into the Friday, market makers have to unwind hedges and whatnot into weekend. So not typically when I like to buy them, but the charts are hard to ignore, especially with the whole sector strength behind it. CoreWeave, I'll probably continue to ignore. MLGO, I'm hoping this thing gaps and goes. Higher the better there. Novitas, week opens. See if we can get that thing going. Pony, this thing's looking good. I like week opens on this one towards those mid to high 18s. It's definitely holding up really well. I think this parabolic short was more of a reactive trade, but I kept the short bias because I was so focused on that low 16s for the breakdown trade that I kind of put blinders on that I need to short it rather than zooming out to something like this. And once it's breaking through these 18s, that's typically a place where I like buying dips, like prior resistance becomes support type idea. Oh well. Hopefully it doesn't gap up too much. So far, is it gapping down a little bit? Yeah, 10 cents or so. What were your thoughts on CoreWeave today? I know you said not planning on trading, but do you think it was quality price action wise? No, not really. I wouldn't say it was quality. I didn't trade it, which I was fairly happy about. Stuck to the plan there. This gap up where we're running for multiple days, you get a strong day, and then if you get this blow off gap, if we're gapping 118, 120, I likely would have been kind of forcing myself to trade it. But given that we gave back the whole move in pre-market, it wasn't as extended as it was when it was gapping. And then market opens, one stuff move, and this thing straight down. Now all these little 1 minute wicks, this isn't bearish action. This is dips getting bought. And like if you zoom in to like basically here, this does not look like a short whatsoever. Like yes, it pulled red, but it should have stayed heavy. And now it's starting to hold higher lows. This looks really bullish. It breaks highs a day and continues higher. So I was not interested in shorting and fighting this. I know a few guys had stopped out through here. I don't think it was easy by any means. Just to ultimately go back red by the end of the day and close right down near $100. So I don't know how to trade it. I know for 100% certainty if I was short anywhere in here, even if I got the entry on like opening range lows or something, I would have been risking highs, and I would have been pissed that I'd get stopped out on coming back. So I do not hate missing it. I don't think it was clean. There's so much chop and range. I like trends. Can you share with us your process in the morning? Sure. Typically, I wake up around 4 a.m. my time. That's 7 a.m. Eastern. I pull up the pre-market gap scanner, look at stocks that are gapping up, trading meaningful volume, and I open up their daily charts and see if there's any familiar looking daily chart patterns and anything that I have seen before. I throw those on a watch list. Anything I've seen before in terms of a daily chart that looks familiar, I throw those on a watch list, and then I start to go through filings and look at dilution, look at why it's up, see if we've got any themes. Like for the last little while, we've had a lot of Bitcoin PRs. We've had a lot of cheap sub $1 names. And if I can get some, I'm typically not buying gappers. Novitas was a unique scenario given the news that we've had other stocks in the past, like Serve, run off of news like that. But typically, my bias is always leaning to the short side. So I throw those things on watch to see if they can get running, get some sort of overextension, short trades. And once I go through the gappers, then I start running through this list that I just went over right now. I've got a list of, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 names. I've probably got a plan for 4 or 5 of them going into tomorrow with the Quantums, with Pony, with Novitas, MLGO, those names that we just went over. And I start seeing if those are gapping in the direction in which I had planned. Anything I'm looking to short, I look for borrows. By that time, I'm usually about an hour in, so it's about 5:30 my time, about 8:30 Eastern. By the time I'm looking for borrows on some of the names I was looking to short. And if I'm looking too long, I start drawing levels. So something like Novitas. If I'm looking to get long this tomorrow, which I would prefer it to consolidate tomorrow, but if I'm looking to long a week open, I would need to be using prior day's lows as a stop and maybe flushes towards this 440 level, which was a pre-market spot. So in the morning, typically I'm drawing these levels, just looking left and looking for key levels to hold. And then yeah, by about if it's 8:45, if I'm hopping on the broadcast with Investors Underground, I will have my plans dialed in by then. But typically, I'm waiting till about 9 a.m. to get my plans concreted in. Because then most of pre-market has happened. Offerings, if they come, have come and gone. Any sort of news by the next day has come and gone. So I've got pre-market levels, I've got prior days levels, I've got daily levels. So I've got my technicals kind of lined up and prepared. And then looking for triggers like opening range, dips towards the levels, the lines I drew, all that sort of thing. Start trying to execute those strategies. ATM, I am only looking at the top percent gainers with good volume and news. Yeah, I don't typically trade those day one gappers. I'm just pulling them up because they're percent gainers and could be runners and setting up in the next couple days. Something like lottery, for example, was a day one runner. I didn't trade it on day one, but now it's setting up with like daily resistance and a possible breakout coming. So I'm not typically trading those day ones. The day ones definitely do favor the short side, with like 80% of them failing. Failing being defined as closing below their open price. So I'm typically not trading them. I'm just scanning for them to keep a pulse on what's moving and what's getting volume. Anyone who voluntarily wake up at 4 a.m. deserves to do well. Amen. I appreciate that. Do my best. I've always been a morning person, so it doesn't really bother me. It kind of sucked for like the first year and a half when you wake up at between 4 and 5 in the morning at that point to wake up to just donate to the market day after day. That sure wasn't fun to do that every day for a year and a half. Here you go, Mr. Market. Let me wake up again with next to no sleep and do it again for you tomorrow. And then we'll do it again tomorrow. There's a quote with Kevin Hart. He was on, I think it was the Joe Rogan podcast. And he was like, when you wake up, he was talking about like his comedy because it took him a little bit to kind of get a footing. It's like when you wake up day after day working towards a goal, and by the end of it, you've got nothing to show for it, and to be able to keep going back the next day, like that's dedication. That's how you know you love the craft. That's the process. That's the fun part, not making it, so to speak. I'd have to find the who's gonna carry the boats? David Goggins. I'm just looking for the clip. Man, I don't even know what to search. It's such a good... Here it is. It was a different interview, but he might have said something similar. Let me post it in here. It's so good. It's a freaking TikTok link. I hate TikTok. But it was the first thing that came up. I don't even know if it'll show if I... Let me see. Let me see here. I'll change my audio output to the speaker. And you should be able to hear it.
You give up. Hell yeah. Easy. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. I'm done. I ain't going. Oh, yeah. I ain't gonna keep going. Yeah, I don't feel like going to work. I'm done. Yeah, man. It's easy. It's very easy. But what's hard is going, yo, yesterday I got nothing from working as hard as I could. Nothing happened from that. I'm gonna do the same thing again today, but I'm gonna try to go harder. That's the hardest thing in the world. To get up every day and give 100% and be in the same position that you were each day, but mentally know that you're trying and trying and trying. That's a real grind.
Yep. That's it. That's it. That's the secret. Wrong screen. There we go. That's the secret. That's what made me think of it. But I'm doing that every day. Waking up every day for like a year and a half straight. Feels like I'm studying, working, doing what I could. This was 2019, day after day. So frustrating. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. People do it. Who's gonna carry the boats? I love it. No plan to trade nuclear names. Yeah, there is some news on them after hours. They're not really daily chart setups for me. Yeah, I doubt they're gonna be clean. There's gonna be guys like Nate who can trade everything under the sun. For me, I'm just noting that these things have moved. There's a sector, but I don't know what to do with this. So I will leave it be. Leave that to the professionals that know how to trade a lot of things. And I will stick to trying to buy my little breakouts and find some daily charts that make sense to me. But I am noting it, and I do see that sector. I don't know what to do with them. But anyways, I think that's all I really have to say. I hope you guys resonate with that little Kevin Hart bit. I think it speaks volumes. If you guys are having trouble or whatever, I used to watch stuff like that all the time. Guys who've made it out to the other side. In whatever craft, success leaves clues. And it gave me hope for many years. So, just keep going. Keep trying. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to you last year. Been watching your stuff and notice that you really stick to what you know and super disciplined. Cool, I appreciate that. I try my best. Doesn't always work. Something like What did I trade? Like pony. Like I don't typically trade parabolic shorts. And I shorted this one that was breaking out, which was not the smartest. I bought lottery. It was a super small loss, but still there was no reason to be trading it. It's a day 2 with no chart pattern. So typically I try to be pretty disciplined. But maybe today wasn't the best example. It's a lot of times I have one of these days where like I have a frustrating day where I'm trying to trade SIDA and it gaps down and I get frustrated, and then I come into a day like today and I just feel like I'm owed money and I need to trade a bunch of stuff, and then I take 1, 2, 3 losses and I'm like, throw in the white flag, just give up, come back tomorrow. And it's typically that day that kind of pulls me out of the rut, because then I'm like, okay, I don't know what I don't know, and I'm trading a bunch of random stuff back to what I know, and then consistency comes back. So I'm hopeful going to tomorrow and the next week after 2 red days back to back is not fun. How'd you get involved meeting other traders? Well, typically, like for the first probably like 4 years, I kind of hid. Didn't put any profile pictures on any social medias. I was hiding in the shadows. If I was going to make money, I didn't want anyone to know about it. Any friends from school or childhood friends or family or anything, I didn't want them to know. And then also Tim Sykes, if you make any money, he kind of puts you on a pedestal and pushes you as like marketing material, and I didn't want that. So I hid for a while. And once I kind of disconnected from the Sykes crew, I was talking with like his students, the guys who were mentoring in like his Sykes trading challenge and stuff. I would ask them questions and they would recognize I was putting in some effort, watching video lessons, asking good questions. So they were open to chit-chatting. And I think once you get one like reputable good friend, and for me that was Mike Huddy, who's over at Clover Trading now. But I had met him in 2019 he was at a in-person coaching event with Sykes. They came to Vancouver, and I would show up an hour and a half before the event started, and I'd just wait outside the doors until someone would let me in. Typically it was Sykes or Huddy that would get there first and open up the office and let you in the space that they had rented. And Huddy would show up and he'd kind of like, he'd take note, like, oh, you're here early again. And then market would close, Sykes would leave, everyone would leave, go back to their hotel, go back to their house, whatever. And I would stay. Huddy had nothing else to do. He didn't have anything planned while he was here. He was just here for the event. So I would stay for 3-4 hours after market close, and we'd just talk shop. I'd ask questions. And at the end of it, he gave me his phone number because he could see the effort. I was the only one doing it. I just loved it. So he gave me his number and was like, hey, he was living in Arizona at the time. He's like, if you're ever down in Arizona, hit me up. A few months later, I was down in Arizona, and he invited me to come and trade with him for a week in the office that he was in. And he, at the time, him and Roland Wolf were trading together in an office in Arizona. So he introduced me to Roland. I became friends with Roland, and now I've got 2 guys in the industry that are kind of reputable, well-known names in the small cap space. So they would introduce me to their friends, or if I was meeting people, I had people to back me up. It wasn't just some random guy. It was, oh yeah, I know Dawson's good people kind of thing. So it just starts with one, putting in effort, providing value to them first, not just taking. And then, from there, who did I meet next after that? I think it was Nate probably next. Because after 2019, 2020 was COVID, and all the gyms had shut down. I was always big into fitness, and all the gyms had shut down in my area. So I saw Nate. I followed him on Twitter. He's a big follow for a bunch of traders. And I saw him posting about Avidity Fitness. I was like, okay, I could give it a try. He was offering $250 to charity if you showed up to whatever 12 of the next 16 sessions or something. It was free. It's like all I have to do is exercise and he's going to donate money to charity. That's a no-brainer. And since 2020, I'm still with Avidity. I never left. But that was where I met Nate. People would show up for that 12 to 16 session just to get Nate to donate. And then once it was over, they would all leave. And I've been there now for 5 years. So I would talk shop with Nate as the revolving door of people that would try it would come and go. And I was always kind of a constant that was always there. So he took note. And from there, we started chatting. He put face to a name. So now he knows who I am if we're talking on Twitter or in Investors Underground or anything like that. And I would provide value. We were trading those China scams back in 2022. And I would feed him information on the China scams. And in return, I was meeting new people. He was adding value with technicals and other chart setups and stuff like that and teaching. And then from there, it snowballs. Once you know one or two guys, then the network kind of starts to grow organically because you've got people to vouch for you. Vegas is a huge one. If you go to Traders for a Cause in Vegas, that once a year event, there's like 300 people that show up, and it's a networking event. All goes to charity for a good cause, but a lot of people are there selfishly to meet others. And I met tons and tons of people there. But yeah, it kind of grows organically. Be yourself, provide value to others, and then they recognize that. As long as you're not reaching out like, hey, hot picks, or, gimme. Be nice, be funny, provide value, and it kind of just happens, I think. That's really cool. I'm in my shadows phase, but would love to connect with others, but struggled. Yeah, I hear ya. It just takes one. If you go to like that event this year, it's usually in like October, November. If you go to that Vegas event, reach out, tell me your screen name, and I can put a face to a name and come say hi. But once you go to one, I've been to countless others. I've been to a few with Roland, Clover, Investors Underground. We've done a bunch. Traders for a Cause. I go to a bunch just because it's fun. Nate is just a fountain of knowledge. Having him as a mentor and friend is amazing. I learn from his views every day in the chat, and it's so valuable. Yeah, Nate's a good dude. He means well. He always wants to help people. He takes care of his people. He always wants to see others do well. He's a really good person. Can I do a live trading session? Maybe one day. I don't know. I probably could. It doesn't really take much attention. I would just be trading as if I was doing nothing. I wouldn't be talking and answering questions, but maybe one day I could do it. We'll see. How do you know if a stock has the range? BSGM. How will you know if the stock can move from 340 to 479? I don't know. BSGM, not a very good example. More so like something like Pony. Like when you get a breakout, it should have range through that breakout level when it's making new highs. QBTS, once it's breaking through 1112, it should have range. It's breaking through to new highs. I'm just trading like daily chart patterns that I've seen happen before that should repeat. They have some sort of predictability because I've seen that happen. Where have I seen this before? Oh yeah. And then once it happens again, you expect that same kind of personality and action to come of it. BSGM, I had no idea it was going to go from 340 to 479 today. But I do think with some level of predictability, this looks like a pump daily chart that I've seen, and it should just tank eventually. Like, clue. Like over here. Like this looks like BSGM to me. And then I think it's just going to do that one day. Or UPC. This one's done it. Chop, chop, chop. Right over here. Tick, 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 tick. Bang. Just looks familiar. But I think I'll leave it there, guys. It's enough chit chat for this evening. Going on about 46 minutes now. It's a long one. So Monday is off. Long weekend. Don't forget that. So you don't have to come to your desk on Monday. But I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Trade them well tomorrow. If you had a bad week, don't try and make it all back tomorrow. If you had a good week, don't give it all back tomorrow. Just stay the course, trust the process, and trade them well. So I will see you guys next week. Take it easy, guys. Peace.